Hi guys, Nigel Farage likes to present himself as a media-savvy political wizard, and to his credit he's been very good at convincing people to vote against their own interests. But he completely falls apart when he's not been asked softball questions or been quizzed about what other people are doing. In this clip he was challenged by Beth Rigby of Sky News, in a very polite manner I might add. The Reform UK leader fell apart. Then he tried to engage in some whataboutism, but it blew up in his face. Wonderful stuff, have a listen to this.
In terms of being a MP and representing constituents, my point here is not what happened. My point is that there is a discrepancy.
Right. Well,
he
I haven't
said
seen
I
it.
pushed
I believe
her
you.
over.
I believe you.
But
I haven't
that's
seen the discrepancy.
Court document.
It's a spent
conviction.
What did he
tell
end
you he'd
of
done?
conversation.
Well, what did he say he'd done to you?
Spent conviction, end of conversation.
His constituents.
I tell you what, we're busy, right? We're building a new political party. You are talking about a spent conviction from 20 years ago. What's happened is happened. Whether there are discrepancies or not, I don't know. What I know is he's a fine young man who's turned out really very, very well.
But for the victim,
he's a serving member of Parliament.
For him to imply that she was pushed over when the court document says he kicked her, that's difficult for the victim, isn't it?
I'll believe anything you say.
It's not what I say, it's what the court document says.
I haven't read
It's not what I said, it's a court document.
I don't know, it's 20 years ago. And this is why, and this is why the mainstream media like you are losing the affections of the British public. Let's worry about where we are today. Let's worry about where the country's going. Let's worry about the fact we're getting poorer. Let's worry about the fact that our communities are breaking down, that people are scared to walk on the streets of London wearing a watch or jewellery.
No,
I know.
What
And
I'm asking you...
You're talking about an inside Westminster story that you want to talk about.
If you want to professionalise the party... then these are questions people are going to ask. And if it was another political party and this has happened, you would expect me to ask them as well.
I have not heard you ask a single Labour minister about the case where a man was on the ground in Runcorn a few weeks ago and punched 5 times on the ground.
Has he not been suspended for that?
Suspended.
I thought he had the whip suspended.
Still a member of Parliament.
Have you? But you
still a member of Parliament.
But he has had the whip suspended, and they are investigating it.
We'll see.
Whereas what you're saying here is that the court documents are irrelevant. So
I'm saying a spent conviction is irrelevant. Okay. You're quite right.
What an arrogant piece of work. You know, there are 2 things to mention here, apart from his demeanour. He wants to engage in whataboutisms. So, you know, what about Labour? What about Labour? Why aren't you investigating Labour? Why aren't you grilling Labour? She's asking a question about one of your MPs. And the second point, of course, is that if you want to professionalise your party, you're going to end up having to kick people out who are troublemakers or problematic. See, Farage doesn't want to do that. He wants... to be treated with kid gloves. He wants to be treated in a special way. He thinks that Reform UK is different. They're allowed to engage in these sort of things, but other parties have to follow the rules. His party is exempt from the rules. He's not very good at these things when he's asked difficult questions. He's used to being on GB News where, somebody's asking him softball questions, asking him about, what is Labour doing wrong, or what are the Conservatives doing wrong? And it's never, what is Reform doing wrong? What about people who are in Reform? Now, he's, of course, tried to spin this as, well, this is just, within the Westminster bubble. But the problem with that is that if he has problematic people, troublemakers, delinquents in his party, this is going to create problems for him. Because the media are going to ask difficult questions of those candidates and of those MPs and of the leader himself. And he can't just keep dismissing it and saying, look, it's over and done with, or it's Westminster bubble rubbish, or it's or what about other parties? There are real journalists still in the mainstream media who will challenge him. And kudos to Beth Rigby for pushing back on Farage here, because he's not used to this. And you can see that he's not used to it. He's used to people just pandering to him, both in the media and in politics. But he falls apart pretty quickly when he's facing some difficult questions. And we've seen it before with with journalists outside the UK. For example, when he went on Irish TV some years ago, completely fell apart. Let's see more of this, because that's what the public need to see. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.